you're just mesmerized. You don't know where to look or where to turn.
How some visual tricks are helping scientists unlock the mysteries of the brain.
For agriculture, for public health, for conservation, for our own pets.
The extra precautions one zoo is taking to protect against bird flu. And a doctor's story heads to the big screen. Welcome to Eye on Health, where we focus on stories that affect your physical and mental well-being. I'm Bradley Blackburn. We begin with potential changes to baby formula. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has directed the FDA to review the nutrients and other ingredients in infant formula, part of his larger review of the U.S. food supply.
So the formula supply in the United States is absolutely safe and extremely high quality. But just because something is safe doesn't mean we can't think about how to improve it.
Dr. Stephen Abrams is an infant nutrition expert at the University of Texas. He says there has been enough new science over the past few decades that suggests improvements can be made.
We want to make sure that new things that we've discovered that are really important in breast milk, like what are called oligosaccharides, are present in formula if they're shown to be beneficial. We want to make sure that there's DHA that's mandated in formulas if that's shown to be beneficial, which I think it will be. And we want to make sure that we have a clear program to monitor infant formulas for heavy metals and make sure that they're absolutely as low as possible.
According to the NIH, more than 2/3 of infants rely on formula for at least some of their nutrition. Dr. Abrams says parents should absolutely not try to make their own formula and consult a pediatrician if they have any questions. Another story about the health of young children: measles cases have topped 1,000 for the first time in 6 years, and vaccination levels are down. According to Johns Hopkins University, the number of kids getting their measles, mumps, and rubella vaccines dropped 2% since the pandemic to 91%. That's below the 95% vaccination rate required for herd immunity. CBS News anchor Maurice Dubois asked CBS News medical contributor Dr. Celine Gounder about how some states are keeping their vaccination rates high.
95% is the magic number for vaccination rates that we want to have. So let's start with California. They were able to get there.
So California, average county has a vaccination rate for measles of 96%. They have been very proactive. So back in 2016, they got rid of non-medical exemptions to vaccination, which really helped them get to that very high level.
The state of New York was reactive to conditions on the ground, but they got there.
So New York waited until they had an outbreak in 2019 of measles. In response, they got rid of their non-medical exemptions, and they also did some really aggressive community outreach to get people vaccinated. And yeah, almost 98%.
The state of Texas had a whole different approach to this.
So average county in state of Texas has a vaccination rate of 94%, which is below that passing grade of 95% for herd immunity. It's very patchy, but if you focus in on Gaines County in West Texas with a vaccination rate of just over 80%, that is the epicenter for the measles outbreak in West Texas, showing how vulnerable some of these areas can be.
And then the national picture, what are we looking at right now?
So national picture, we only have 11 states that are above that passing grade of 95%, and there's a lot of counties that are well below the 95%. So we're quite vulnerable in certain pockets, in particular of the country, for a measles outbreak.
Scientists at UCLA are using brain mapping to find out more about mental health. As Rina Nakano explains, the technology is helping them pinpoint potential physical causes for psychological problems.
UCLA scientists are studying what was once impossible.
Human brain and universe, these are two of the most mystery things in science.
Dr. Hongwei Dong is tackling one of those mysteries, the brain, with the help of 3D laser imaging and AI. Thanks to this new technology, researchers here are able to take a deeper look at the brain at a faster pace and more accurately. He's making brain maps.
Essentially, we create Google Maps for the brain.
Let's say the destination is an action, like walking. Tiny cells have to pass through these roads to send instructions on what to do. But if there's traffic, construction, or a break in the road, you will not be able to walk. This new technology is able to see what's causing those breaks.
They are toxic.
Graduate student Mitchell Rudd has family members who suffered from neurodegenerative diseases.
It felt like the life being sucked out of him.
That's why he joined Dr. Dong's lab. Brain mapping is essential in studying diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, but now it's also used to better understand our mental health. Brain maps show those who suffer from depression and anxiety also have breaks in their brain cells.
First, we want to look at exactly which part of the brain, which cells, how their connection get disrupted, and then if we can develop new drugs, can recover their connections, then that will help their mental health.
For psychiatric disorders, maintaining a healthy lifestyle and social connections can help regenerate some of those cell connections. Researchers hope with more brain mapping research, they can better understand both physical and mental health. Rena Nakano, CBS News, Los Angeles.
New research shows more people are surviving cancer than ever before, and physical activity can be a vital part of the recovery. We visited a gym where survivors become family.
Keep your elbows back and now push it out.
After 5 surgeries for breast cancer, getting active again was very important to Renee Shutowich.
My upper body strength was so weak. I needed to regain the strength, increase the mobility of my arms, reduce the fatigue and the weakness that came after post-surgery.
She found Strength for Life, which provides free exercise classes for cancer survivors.
Arms straight.
Co-founder Deborah Hughes is a cancer-certified exercise specialist.
Our main mission is to get the strength training in, and we use resistance bands to do that. Our full body exercise splits up the body parts to help with lymphatic flow.
80-year-old Saul Hummel started taking classes while undergoing radiation for prostate cancer.
I needed to do something. I felt stagnated. So this was wonderful.
New research from the American Cancer Society shows moderate to vigorous physical activity after a cancer diagnosis improves survival for people with many types of cancer.
This is really great news because it continues to demonstrate that patients and caregivers can put their own future in their hands.
And the number of survivors is growing. An estimated 18.6 million people currently in the United States, more than 22 million by 2035.
That's a reflection of really good early detection strategies, as well as a lot of progress in the types of treatments we use.
67-year-old Amy Stadler is a breast cancer survivor.
If you had said to me that I would be able to do push-ups after a double mastectomy, I would have said, you're kidding me.
Regaining strength and so much more.
They know what you're going through on your cancer journey.
It's a support group. It's a family.
And in this family, no one fights alone. According to the USDA, bird flu has impacted around 174 million poultry, 13,000 wild birds, and over 1,000 dairy herds in the U.S. Natalie Brand visited the Smithsonian National Zoo to see a new effort to keep their animals safe.
You might not notice the changes right away, like the extra mesh around the flamenco exhibit, or ponds drained in the Reyes enclosure, and caretakers taking extra steps to sanitize and guard against unexpected visitors like this wild mallard, which can potentially spread the bird flu.
I'm going to clean this pool completely. I may even actually bring in some bleach and bleach this pool, knowing there's a potential risk of contamination.
The Smithsonian National Zoo is taking the extra precautions in the face of an intensifying virus that's threatening not just birds, but mammals, including big cats.
What makes this year different?
The fact that it's never really gone away.
Sarah Halliger, curator of birds at the National Zoo, says the intensity of the outbreak nationwide has triggered renovations like this netted structure made of steel and heavy-duty mesh.
If we have an outbreak, we can move our flamingos onto a permanent covered enclosure, keep them safe, close off one of the pools. They'll be really protected.
So far, the animals here have stayed safe, but Chief Veterinarian Don Neifer acknowledges the risk.
For me, it's really not a matter of if it will come here. It's more responsible for all of us to assume that it is going to come here at some point.
He says the virus is now impacting all facets of life.
This virus has implications for agriculture, for public health, for conservation, for our own pets. It moving through other species isn't new. It's the number of species it's moving through.
While the bird flu isn't top of mind for everyone.
Is bird flu on your radar?
It was not.
Nurse Jenny Hall calls the preventative measures comforting.
I think it's great that they're trying to protect the animals to protect the people.
Zookeepers say making people aware is an important step in keeping everyone safe. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington, D.C.
Coming up, a milestone for one couple raising guide dogs and a mission to connect grandpas and children that benefits everyone. Welcome back. We know doctors can save lives, but a physician in Pennsylvania saved his own life with a groundbreaking discovery. It's now being used to treat others, and the story is inspiring Hollywood. Stephanie Stahl has more.
A man on a mission with science always running through his mind. Dr. David Feigenbaum works out the equations on his windows at Penn Medicine.
And these are the immune cells that are playing a role.
Focusing on immune cells is how he saved his life with a new approach that's now saving others. It's a story that's headed to Hollywood.
It's a story about creating hope when it feels like there is no hope.
Feigenbaum was filled with a more innocent kind of hope at Georgetown, where he was a quarterback. Then at Penn Medicine third year, he developed a rare disease called Castleman, for which there is no treatment.
The first 3 years after my diagnosis, I almost died 5 times. And I knew that if I didn't find a treatment, that I wasn't going to survive.
Castleman puts the immune system in overdrive. Feigenbaum figured an established transplant drug that suppresses the immune system might work, and it did.
Turning hope into actions.
That's the theme of his book, Chasing My Cure, a cure that came from an existing drug.
It's so amazing to think that this drug was at my local CVS for all those years when I was in and out of the ICU, and no one knew to try it. So I just keep thinking, how many more drugs that could treat more patients that are suffering from diseases?
Dr. Feigenbaum and his team at Penn Medicine find new uses for existing medications, drug repurposing.
We've just uncovered time and time again that the solutions are out there. We just don't have anyone looking for these old solutions.
He started a nonprofit called Every Cure, where they repurpose drugs with the help of artificial intelligence.
And over the last 11 years, we've identified and advanced 13 more repurposed treatments for diseases they weren't intended for.
One is a vitamin derivative that can help some autistic children.
And that's one of my favorite programs we're advancing. Another one is with the numbing medicine lidocaine.
That one is showing promise with breast cancer. His story and research has made headlines, and now a movie is in the works.
The script is being written. I hear it's almost done, which is exciting. And then the next step is to identify the right lead actor.
Who should play your role in the movie?
You know, my wife has ideas for people in mind. But
who does she want?
She would love Bradley Cooper to play me.
Playing the real-life story of a lifesaver. Stephanie Stahl, CBS News, Philadelphia.
An English couple that breeds guide dogs for the visually impaired has some tail-wagging good news. Ruth and John Mercer are celebrating their 100th puppy, born in a litter of 11 pups destined for great things. When fully trained, the dogs help people with sight loss navigate the world with confidence and independence.
If somebody had asked us at the beginning of our journey how many we might have, we probably were only thinking to the first dog and 4 litters maybe, but to have got to 100 is quite incredible.
The duo says it's an experience that enriches their lives as breeders to help bring these pups to people like Claire Barber, whose dog Bailey is now an integral part of her family.
I wasn't able to go to appointments, go shopping, do anything nice with my children without somebody always being there. So having Bailey, when I got Bailey, it completely changed my life. Not only does he guide me, and he's my eyes, he gives me the confidence to be able to do the things that I want to do.
The Mercers have been guide dog volunteers for 2 decades. Record numbers of baby boomers are now entering their retirement years, and while some men might think of it as more time to golf or fish, a group called Grandpas United has a different idea. We saw how their mission to give back is paying dividends for their mental health.
Good to see you.
It's recess at Church Street Elementary, where instead of hitting the playground, these students have chosen to hang out with the older kids. A lot older.
How old do you think he is?
56.
I'll take it. The guys in blue, with a little gray, are Grandpas United.
Or 65.
Wait a minute, don't push it. I was happy at 56.
a grassroots group of retirees who have no biological connection to these kids.
I like to play Jenga with them.
But they've formed a real bond.
Some of them are funny, some of them are good, like talkers and stuff.
If I can bring a smile to them and they bring a smile to me, we've had a good day.
The idea took shape several years ago when founding Grandpa Jim Eisenberg noticed something missing.
I see nothing for grandpas anywhere. Grandmas, God love them, grandparents, but grandpas zip. Why don't we think about doing a grandpa program?
More than 100 men have since signed on as volunteers, sharing fun and a little wisdom.
Shaking your hand with a firm grip, no dead fish, eye contact.
Grandpa Wrangler Ellen Barth says for some kids it's a rare chance to bond with the grandfather figure. And studies have shown this kind of activity can boost mental health for men and help combat loneliness as they age.
They really light up when they see the kids. There's no doubt about it.
Irvin Caesar is a retired truck driver who grew up nearby.
Who gets more out of this, the kids or the grandpas?
Well, I don't know how much they get, but I know I get a lot. I really enjoy being and meeting the grandpas. They're a bunch of really nice guys.
A simple idea that delivers so much when grandpas are united together. After the break, why some radiologists aren't fooled by this visual trick. And we meet a professor who turned his own cancer diagnosis into a teaching moment. Welcome back. They say the eyes are windows into the soul, but new research shows how our visual system can reveal the capabilities of our brains. We took a closer look at how some eye-popping illusions are helping scientists unlock secrets. At the Museum of Illusions in New York, around every corner, it's a wonder for the eyes. There's a vase that's a face, art that moves with you, and a room that seems to go on forever.
You're just mesmerized. You don't know where to look or where to turn.
It's a fun house for our perception built for the TikTok age. But these visual tricks are windows into how the mind works, and they're fascinating to scientists too.
The brain uses all the information it can get to figure out what's in front of it.
Dr. Martin Doherty with England's University of East Anglia has studied one particular puzzle for years called the Ebbinghaus illusion.
The two orange circles, which would you say is the larger?
The one with the smaller blue circles, the orange looks larger.
It looks larger, but of course, as you'd expect, they're actually the same size. The illusion works by using context to mess around with your perception.
He long thought that everyone saw it the same way, but in a new study, he and his colleagues found radiologists who have years of training to ignore visual distractions actually see the image differently and accurately.
According to the theory, that shouldn't happen, shouldn't be possible. And there's no previous research has shown that you can learn to see through them.
It's evidence of the deep abilities of a trained brain. But for most of us, illusions are proof of our limitations.
When you see these visuals, it's just like your brain just starts going crazy.
And a reminder, you can't always believe what you see. When a professor at Stanford University received a life-changing diagnosis, he decided to teach his students about it, giving them a raw look at his very personal fight against cancer. David Begnaud reports.
You know you're old when your kids can beat you at stuff.
Last year, Dr. Bryant Lynn had a lingering cough, and he thought it might be allergies. 6 weeks later, it was confirmed to be stage 4 lung cancer.
You had a lot of disease here.
Have you ever smoked?
Never smoked.
You ever been around people who smoked?
Not really.
And here's the twist. Dr. Lynn has spent many years as a professor at Stanford University, researching and teaching about non-smoker lung cancer.
Completely, very important. Ironically, I become the poster child for the disease.
You're warning people about it, and here you are. The odds of you getting it are what?
So the odds, it's interesting. For Asians now, we're thinking that the odds are higher. Asian women have twice the rate of non-smoker lung cancer than non-Asian women.
Dr. Lynn made a surprising decision. He created a Stanford course based around his diagnosis and
Since I was
treatment.
diagnosed, I have stage 4 cancer, which is not curable. I will highly likely die of this cancer or something related to this cancer. It may be 1 year, it may be 2 years, it may be 5 years. I really don't know. I promised myself I wouldn't choke up, and now I'm choking up.
So you get a terminal diagnosis and you decide, well, I'm going to go teach about it.
Sounds crazy, right? Yeah.
Dr. Lin doesn't like to give advice.
But I'll ask you to share with us the lessons that you find work best for you.
This is one thing. People come up to me, how come you're so happy? How come you're so positive? I think partially because of my attitude. And I think one, of course, I was born that way. I'm a happy-go-lucky guy, jolly. But two, I think I try to be kind. It's easy to forget to be kind when you're sick. It's easy to forget to be kind when you're not feeling well, when you're busy, when life has you down.
He opened the course with a letter written by one of his former patients, which underscores the type of doctor he hopes these students will become.
So, dearest Dr. Lin, I wanted to thank you so much for taking such good care of me in my old age. You treated me as you would treat your own father, and I received this letter 2 weeks after he died. He spent time writing a letter for me during his last days of life. In a way, this class is part of my letter, part of what I'm doing to give back to my community.
What was the lesson you were trying to teach?
One thing I observed early on is even though I knew what a patient goes through as a doctor, I didn't really know. So I wanted to kind of rebalance the proportion of what medical students see in a typical class in medical school.
In week 3 of his college course, Dr. Lin, who is a primary care physician, shared his chemotherapy journey, giving students a raw, behind-the-scenes look into the emotion and physical toll of cancer.
You're almost done. Just make sure you get every drop.
Feeling okay, a little nauseous, avoiding the Chipotle today because of that.
You more focused on living or preparing for death?
Living. So this is something I think surprised students in the class. There's tiles and there are letters.
What matters to you these days?
Number one, time with family.
With a Z, I know is a word.
Dr. Lin and his wife, Christine, are parents to 17-year-old Dominic and 13-year-old Atticus.
Triple 18.
They have both been candid with the boys about his diagnosis and the prognosis.
I'll just read the last few paragraphs.
Okay.
Dr. Lin has saved letters that he's written for his boys for a time he knows is coming.
There are things we can't control, like health. Gratitude can provide an overarching goodness as you build your lives. Whether I'm here or not, what I want you to know is that I love you. Of the many things I've done that have given my life meaning, being your daddy is the greatest of all. This letter would not be complete if it didn't include how essential your mom is in our lives. Listen to her, and if I'm not around, you have to take care of her. I love you all.
At the end of the 10-week course,
yet today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of this earth.
The 50-year-old Dr. Lin read for his students another letter, inspired by Lou Gehrig's farewell.
When you have students and former residents reaching out to pray for you, chant with you, and wish you well, that's something. When you have a father and mother who worked all their lives to send you to medical school, it's a blessing. When you have a wife who's been a tower of strength and shown more courage than you dream existed, that's the finest I know. So I close in saying that I may have had a tough break, but I have an awful lot to live for. Thank you, and it's been an honor.
David Begnaud, CBS News.
That's Eye on Health for this week. I'm Bradley Blackburn. Thanks for joining us, and be well.